Pleased to have here to my right, longtime head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and a man who's here in Southern California because he was part of the Tournament of Roses Parade riding the Donate Life Rose Parade float. Good to see you, Sam Wyche. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. We had a great time at the Rose Parade and won the theme award. So
Is that right? I did not know that.
Yeah, celebrating a victory for that, but it's a time where everyone on that float was either a donor or a recipient.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a recipient.
You're a recipient. You have somebody else's heart beating inside
I
you,
do.
huh?
I've got somebody that took care of himself, kept his heart strong for me, signed up when he went to the driver's license bureau to the DMV and said, put that little insignia on there if I ever die for some reason, car wreck or whatever. I want my organs donated, and I got the heart. And it was really, they'd say it had to be either a first responder, a military guy, an athlete, somebody very strong. I was 71 when I got the heart transplant. I'm 72 now. I'll be 73 by the next time I'm interviewed by you, because it's next week for me. But anyway, he gave me a good, strong heart, and I rode actually 15 miles on a bicycle 3 weeks and 5 days after the surgery. That's how good the doctors were at Carolinas Medical Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how strong this heart is.
Okay, well, I want to make sure that we, by the end of this conversation, make sure that everybody understands what it means to donate and how they can do that. I'm here with Sam Wyche here on the Rich Eisen Show. Do want to talk a little bit of football with you. You got into coaching thanks to none other than Bill Walsh,
Bill
correct?
Walsh was my coach when I was a rookie player, and in 1968 with the Cincinnati Bengals. We ran into each other later at another venue, and he said, if I ever get a job, I want you to come be my passing coach. And when he got the 49er job, I was working in Greenville, South Carolina at Sam Wyche Sports World. I'm sure you've bought many products there. Well, I can tell by that laugh you haven't. But anyway.
No. I get my running shoes from there,
okay,
Sam. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I got a call from Bill, and this was literally after I received 2 rejection notices from 2 high schools in North Carolina. I decided I wanted to go back and coach, even if it was a high school. It was going to be fun. And I was named the director of the passing game.
By Bill Walsh.
By Bill Walsh, right.
Even though you were rejected locally in the Carolinas.
You know, I wasn't worth a dime, yeah. But he was really didn't want to give up that coordinatorship job just yet. But we drafted some young kid out of Notre Dame who really had not had much coaching named Joe Montana, and I put everything I had into it and made him what he is today. So.
Well, it's just, because we discussed this, before you came out here. It is amazing, football, and how you can't make stuff up. That Bill Walsh was the guy who brought you into coaching. You were there when Montana gets drafted. And who's standing on the other sideline when you are coaching the Super Bowl for the Cincinnati Bengals? But
Bill Walsh and Joe Montana.
What were you thinking about when Montana gets the ball last drive?
Joe is a clutch player. I knew we were in for it. Dick LeBeau was my defensive coordinator, our defensive coordinator. First person plural when you're a head coach. You should talk that way. But he's a terrific coach and been around forever and knows exactly what happens. But we kick a long field goal, really right on the edge of the limit, into the wind, go up by 3 points, leave them about 3 minutes, much like Atlanta and New England finished their latest Super Bowl here. And I went over to Bill, and I was wired, and they had a camera on me. So they had told me, A, don't go to your nose or your crotch. And then they said, when you're talking, know that you're being heard, so watch your language or whatever. I turned my back because they're coming from across, and I said, bring 5, bring 5. I'm mouthing, bring 5 people. I know that system. I was there for the first 4 years that it was put in. I coached Joe. I know his reads. You bring 5, he'll lay it off. We brought 5, he laid it off 2nd and 8, and then we went into the prevent. And to Dick LeBeau's credit, we drop a pass that would have won the game for us with about 56 seconds left, but we dropped it, and they only had 1 timeout left. And then about 2 or 3 plays later, John Taylor catches the winning touchdown on a perfect pass. And it was a perfect play that won the game, not a bad defense that lost it.
Sam Wyche here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did you know when you were coaching Collinsworth that he had a broadcaster's
I think Chris could have done anything he wanted to. And Holly, his wife, who's also a lawyer, Chris is a lawyer, has his law degree, and I think they together could do anything they wanted to do. Terrific people, likable people. They would get along with anybody in any industry. and he talks to every level. You know, he talks to that novice that doesn't know much about the game. Then he talks to the high school coach who's listening in, trying to get a pointer or two.
And so you knew that he had that sort of talking ability? Because
I did.
Well, what was it like coaching him?
You had to be gentle because he might come back and top you. He was a student of the game, and he loved to study the game and offer. And I was what kind of a coach that liked to get ideas from the players. Mm-hmm. They're the ones out there playing the game. The coaches don't play. They stand with their arms folded during the game, and then they try to get them ready at practice. But Chris would offer ideas, and I would use a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And I ended up having to be the guy that said, Chris, it's time. You know, you may have lost a step right here. We got some young guys coming up. It's time. And I actually, in effect, cut him. And he was not a happy person, I will tell you that. But we have been very close friends over the years. I talk to him a lot, and he's a special guy to
He's
me.
brilliant. He's brilliant. He's brilliant, and he's brilliant at what he does. Sam Wyche here on the Rich Eisen Show. And you have been fortunate when you went into broadcasting. Marv Albert is my idol. I mean, I would not be doing this job if it wasn't for Marv, growing up and watching him in the New York City area.
Me too. I'm in that club.
Okay, and you were with him for how many years with NBC?
I was with him for 2 or 3 years, and then NBC lost the contract to Fox, and so I went with ABC or CBS, and Kevin Harlan was my partner. And if you listen to Kevin, he sounds just like Marv Albert.
Yeah, I mean, and he calls NBA games just like Marv. I mean, look, we're all a little bit derivative of Marv. A lot of us,
I think so,
cheat off of him. And then Enberg, you call games with Enberg. What was it like working with Dick, who, as we all know, passed away just a couple weeks ago?
Everything, every nice thing everybody's saying about him right now is true. He is the most gentle. He's the most helpful. He's the most cooperative guy. On and off. He sent me a Christmas card every year for the last 20 years. We haven't been together, you know, but I still get that Christmas card. I did just before he passed away this year as well. Something else. He's a special guy as well. There are a lot of good people in this business, and they all know the problems and the challenges that each of us have, you know, to keep going and do it right and present the games or present the ideas as a show like this would do that players and coaches go through. And then I think we owe it to each other to support each other as well.
Well, and then in that regard, let's talk about organ donation. Let's talk about life as opposed to football life here, Sam Wyche. So you had cardiomyopathy, correct?
I did back in 2000. I contracted viral, which means a virus. Somebody coughed in their hand. I shook their hand, touched my eye. Only about 5% of the population is susceptible to that. I'm one of the 5%. Lucky me. And I survived it, though, for about 16 years, which is much longer than the average.
So you knew at one point, when you were told that you need a new heart?
I was in the backyard cutting down with a chainsaw some limbs after a hailstorm, freak hailstorm in South Carolina, and I got a little vertigo, you know, a little dizzy, and I said, here's what a coach thinks. I said, jeepers, I've got a chainsaw going wide open above my head, and I'm getting a little bit dizzy. If I drop this thing, I'm liable to ruin a brand new chainsaw. I only had it 2 weeks. So I went inside, and my wife said, something's wrong with you. What's going on? Which shocked me because it was the first time she ever noticed I even came inside. But she said, we got to take you to the doctor. She knew I'd had, the cardiomyopathy. And the doctors took me to the Carolinas Medical Center in Charlotte to the Sanger Heart and Vascular Institute. They immediately diagnosed it, said, you got a very dying heart. You've only got a little time left if we don't get a new heart. And that new heart came in on the last day that I was supposed to be alive. In fact, I'd already been scheduled to go home with hospice taking care of me, quote, for as long as it took, or for as long as it's necessary was the words they used.
So you do not know whose heart is inside you?
No, this is the donor family's call on that one. They're grieving. Remember, anytime you get something new and you're celebrating, somebody out there is grieving the death of a loved one. And that person, when they're ready, that group of people, mom and dad maybe, we have exchanged letters in code. I'm a number, they're a number. I don't know where they are. I don't know what this person did. I don't know if it was a male or a female. I don't know if it was a black or a white or some other nationality. I know that he has a strong heart, and I know that I'm taking care of it and will continue to do so.
So what would you say to somebody, Sam Wyche, who's out there listening, watching this show, saying, you know what, I would want to do that, but it's kind of something I want to you know, I don't want to be cut up when I pass away or something like that. What do you say to somebody who's got second thoughts about donating?
I hear that a lot, exactly what you said. Here's what I respond. Look, if I could ask you right now while you're still, you know, sane, and okay, semi-sane.
Come back to me later this year, Sam.
While you're sitting right here, you could save 7 or 8 lives. And if you could save 75, or not save, but enhance the lives of 75 more people, and it wouldn't cost you a dime, and it wouldn't hurt because you will have already passed away, would you have an objection to doing that? I don't think many people would say, I don't want to do it after that. You mean, you are giving the gift of life. You're leaving what could be the greatest gift you could leave mankind, and that's to help somebody else. I would not be sitting here talking to you if this one person, it was my last chance. I was down to minutes before this heart got in me, before I was going to die. Everything else was shutting down, and they were waiting for me to go ahead and let go of the gurney. I was holding on with a will to live more than anything else.
And it's as simple as, there's not even a website, right? I mean, you or there could be, or there is, but
there
I mean,
is one. Just registerme.org.
Registerme.org. Okay, and or the DMV essentially. Right?
Yeah, and then you just say, I want to sign up. You're on the National Registry. If anything ever happens to you,
registerme.org.
Right.
Before I let you go, talk to me about that day in Cincinnati where the snowballs are coming down, right? And your famous moment where you get to the microphone and you tell everybody you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. Walk me through what happened.
There had been an incident in Denver the week before. Commissioner sends out a memo. Don't let this get started around the league, throwing snowballs. The incident in Denver, actually, they had to replay the down because it was a field goal attempt, hit right in front of the hold. The next week, I think Jerry Seaman was the official on the sideline, and the officials were having a rough day. in the opinion of our fans, we were at home. Yeah, we were playing the Seattle Seahawks, and our fans started throwing a few snowballs. And I told Jerry, I said, "If you want me to stop it, I will." And he said, "I got the same memo, babe. Go do it." And I went over and Tom gave me this.
So was your idea saying, "Give me a microphone"?
Yeah, that's the way my brain works.
In the old riverfront?
Without thinking. Yeah, it was mine. I mean, yeah, I didn't know how. I couldn't yell up,
Sure.
So I went over, I grabbed the mic. I had no clue what I was going to do. This was not choreographed in any way, shape, or form. I said, if you see anybody, throw anything on the field, point them out, we'll get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. And then I looked up at the owner's box saying, I just lost or I just secured my job. And Paul Brown was knee-slapping, laughing just like you are right now. And I knew I was okay. But later, though, Bernie Kosar, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns at that time, his dad, and Big Dog, in the dog pound, they helped me get together for the Salvation Army in Cleveland. We raised $11,000 to kind of mend the fence in a dunking booth. And I can promise you right now, after Bernie hit me and knocked me in the booth in March in Cleveland, shrinkage is a real reality for all of us. I'm telling you, it was cold. But I started it off. We had these dog bones. We'd beaten them a couple of times that year, which was usual. And I said, "Ye without a win cast the first bone." Well, they didn't read the Bible a lot up there because nobody laughed. They got in line, and they $5 a throw. Bernie picked up a football the next time, nailed it the first one. I was in the water.
Sam Wyche, you are the man. Thanks for coming in. Registerme.org to save a life. Register to donate your organs because Sam Wyche is here on The Rich Eisen Show thanks to somebody's good grace. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
At Sam Wyche here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.